guys, welcome to Crammed. My name is Erica and today we will be talking Unit 2, Molecular Biology. So first of all, let's talk about what is molecular biology. Molecular biology is talking about how living organisms control their composition by a complex web of chemical reactions. Molecular biology allows us to explain these biological processes from the structure of molecules and how they react with one another. An essential part of molecular biology is the relationship between genes and proteins, which is also the central dogma of biology, which is DNA to RNA to proteins. Molecular biology has a lot to do with the intersection between biology and chemistry. So throughout this unit, we'll be seeing aspects of chemistry in biology as well. I know for those that don't like chemistry, that's going to suck, but don't worry. Biology chemistry is way better than like chemistry, trust. So first of all, let's talk about carbon compounds. Even though carbon is only the 15th most abundant element on Earth, carbon is the backbone of every single organic molecule and is therefore essential for life because it gives organisms almost endless possibilities for their chemical composition. Carbon atoms are unique. They only have 4 valence electrons, so they're able to form up to 4 more covalent bonds with other atoms. A covalent bond is a bond between atoms where electrons are shared, which forms an electrostatic connection. Covalent bonds between 2 nonmetals are the strongest types of bonds between atoms because stable molecules are formed. So when 2 atoms have incomplete valence shells and they decide that they're going to share electrons, both of them, in sharing electrons, end up having 8 valence shells, which is the most stable state for an atom to be in. The covalent bonds that carbon can make can be formed with other carbon atoms or with other elements such as hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, or phosphorus, which are all key elements in organic compounds that we will see in this unit. Carbon bonds can either be all single bonds, which means they're only sharing 2 electrons between the 2 atoms, or there can be a combination of double or triple bonds, where double bonds are where 4 electrons are being shared and triple bonds are where 6 electrons are being shared. So a type of carbon compound that we'll be talking a lot about in this unit is carbohydrates. Carbohydrates contain carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. And the ratio for hydrogen and oxygen in carbohydrates is for every 1 oxygen, there will be 2 hydrogens. And an easy way for, personally, I will remember what elements are in carbohydrates is I think Mr. Cho eats a lot of carbs because the C stands for carbon, the H stands for hydrogen, and the O stands for oxygen. And examples of carbohydrates include glucose, galactose, lactose, glycogen, and cellulose. We'll be talking a lot about those in topic 2.3, but carbohydrates are a really big thing in molecular biology. Another organic compound that we'll be talking about in this unit is lipids. Lipids are a broad class of insoluble molecules in water, but they are soluble in non-polar organic solvents. So examples of lipids, they're also called fats, include steroids, fatty acids, triglycerides. And then proteins too. Proteins are composed of 1 or more chains of amino acids, and amino acids are the fundamental building blocks that are built from DNA to RNA to proteins. When proteins are made from RNA, they are first transcribed into amino acids, and the amino acids connected together is what makes up protein. And I think of proteins containing carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, so CHON, but also 2 out of 20 amino acids also contain sulfur. So the key difference between remembering what the elements carbohydrates have versus the elements that proteins have is thinking of the fact that proteins contain nitrogen and carbohydrates do not. And another carbon compound that's really important for this unit is nucleic acids. Nucleic acids are made up of chains of subunits called nucleotides, and they contain carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and phosphorus. So I think chomp, like almost like a shark going chomp, 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 and that's kind of nucleic acids. There are actually 2 types of nucleic acids, and you probably are very familiar with both of them, DNA and RNA, deoxyribose nucleic acids and ribose nucleic acids, and we'll talk more about the difference between DNA and RNA later on in this unit. So that's kind of all the carbon compounds I'll be talking about in this unit. And now we're going to talk about metabolism, which is also really important when talking about molecular biology. Metabolism is the web of all the enzymes that catalyze the reactions in a cell or an organism. Most metabolic reactions happen in the cytoplasm, which is just like the main water-like fluid that's within a cell, but some metabolic reactions are extracellular. Metabolism consists of pathways by which one molecule is transformed into another, with either a cycle or a chain reaction that other new products are created. And within metabolism, there are two subcategories, anabolism and catabolism. Anabolism is the reactions that build up larger molecules from smaller ones, and it requires ATP to form these bonds to make larger molecules. An example of this is condensation reactions, which we'll talk about that's how we get disaccharides and polysaccharides from simple monosaccharides like glucose. And examples of anabolism is DNA synthesis, protein synthesis in the ribosomes, photosynthesis that creates glucose from CO2 and water, and also synthesis of complex carbohydrates, which we'll be talking about later. And the second type of metabolic reactions are catabolism, which is the breakdown of complex molecules into simpler molecules, which releases energy when these bonds are broken. It uses hydrolysis, which is breaking bonds by splitting water molecules. And examples of catabolism is digestion of food, cellular respiration, where glucose and oxygen are broken down into CO2 and water, and digestion of complex carbon compounds. And finally, when we talk about metabolism, there is also the example of urea, which is a nitrogen-containing compound that you'll find in your body. And it's a component of urine, and it is produced when there's an excess of amino acids in the body. Since too much nitrogen just floating around in the body when you're not using the amino acids is actually toxic. So it's actually broken down and excreted through your urine through urea. And urea specifically was used to falsify vitalism theory, which is the origin and phenomena of life are due to a vital principle, which is just like a magic factor that just like randomly spawns life. So a scientist named Frederick Wohler in 1828, he did an experiment where he synthesized urea artificially without the addition of the vital principle, and that's how he falsified that theory.